Okay, we are picking up on Yud Beis Amud Aleph. We are on the second line, and again, we had just gone through the calculation for different calculations that had been made for what the 70 years was and when it started. So the Gemara says, Amar Rava. Daniel Tabahai B'chushbana, that Daniel also made a mistake when he was trying to calculate when the 7 years went. Tichsiv b'shnas achas malcho ani Daniel beinosi b'sfarim, that when in the first year that he was melech, Daniel said that I revisited the calculation. What does that mean? It means that he had come up with the calculation and he realized that he had been wrong because he thought that the Geula was supposed to come, and then he realized that he made a mistake. So therefore, he said he made a mistake. So you see that it wasn't easy to remember what it is, and. Because sin says binosi, which means it's a lashon of recalculating. So it means that he made a calculation, he was wrong, and then he went ahead and he made another calculation. Become makam. So the Gemara asked, "Kashu kraya, we have a contradiction in the psukim, because ksiv melos l'bava." It says one says that the geula is going to come from the time of Bava when the Malchus Bava was starting. Uksiv l'chorvus Yerushalayim, and the other one says it's going to come 7 years from the destruction of Yerushalayim. So what does that mean? The Gemara answers, Amarava lefkida ba'alma, that as far as Hashem remembering that it's time to, not that he needs a reminder, but I mean in terms of the Bnei Yisrael coming back and starting the whole process of the Gula, so that started already from the time of what Melos Bavel. That's when Hashem's going to remember that they can go back. But as far as rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash, that was later. Behind the Dechsiv, Kamar Koresh Melech Paras, Kam Amlachos Haaretz Nasam Li Hashem Lokei Hashemayim Vupakar Alai Livnos Lo Bayis B'Yerushalayim. And this was the pasuk. Remember, we said that we said earlier. Koresh said that he ruled over the whole world, except he was just puffing his chest out. But he says that Hashem did it so that I could go ahead and rebuild the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. So that's again. So to come back into Eretz Yisrael, that started earlier. But for the Beis Hamikdash to start to be rebuilt, that took place at a later date. Darash of Nachman Rav Chizda. My Dechsiv Kamar Hashem LeMashiach LeKoresh Asher Chzakti B'Mino. What does it mean that Hashem said to Koresh, his Mashiach, that he was helping him out? So V'chi Koresh Mashiach, it was Koresh Mashiach. He wasn't a Mashiach. Elamar La Koresh Baruch LeMashiach. So Hashem said to Mashiach, Kama, that he's talking about Koresh. Koven Alichal Koresh, that I have a complaint about Koresh. Why? Ani amarti hu yivna beisi v'kavitz kul yosef. Because I said that he should go ahead and rebuild my Beis Hamikdash, and that's going to be the process of the Geula. The hu amar, but Koresh said mivacha mikol amo v'yal, that he said that who's there, that he's going to let him go to Yerushalayim, but he did not start rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash. He stopped the building of the Beis Hamikdash. And Kaviyachol Hashem is saying that if Koresh would have listened to him, it's possible that he would have said that Chizkiah would have been the Melech, would have been anointed as the Melech Mashiach. So by doing that, he's saying that he delayed the Beis Hamikdash being built, because if he would have done it, it would have been done. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to go back to again continuing. We're at the 2 dots, 3 lines down from where it gets wide. So, again, we're going through all the words in the Megillah, and the Gemara is just going to be going through and saying midrashim about it. So it said Chel Paras Umadai HaPartum. We said that the armies of Paras and Madai, and then we said the governors. Uksiv, and then it also says later on in the Megillah, L'malchei Madai Paras. It says to the kings of Madai and Paras. So one place it calls one the king and the other the governor, and then the other place it switches it and it calls him the governor and the king. So how does it work? Amarava Asnui Asnu Bahadadi, that Paras and Madai made a deal with each other, and they said Iminan Malchei Minaychu Iparchi, that if you're going to become the king, we'll be the governors. V'minaychu Malchei Minan Africha, and if you're going to become the king, then we're going to become the governors. So this way, it was a joint partnership that was taking place, that between the two of them, one of them was ruling and one of them was the governor. So there was always like a balance of power. But they realized it wasn't just that Paras was in power at one time and then Madai took over. It was together. They were both doing it together. The Megillah continues. So it says that Achashverosh showed off what his riches were. Rav Yossi Bar Chanina, what does that mean? That Achashverosh put on the big day kahuna at the party. So it says that he put on his tiferes, and it says and it says by the big day kahuna, it refers to them to covenant tiferes. So you see that Achashverosh put on the big day kahuna when he was at the party. And then it says that the days were filled up. What does that mean? First he started with having the people that were further away from Shushan, he had them come for the party, and then he had a party for Shushan afterwards. So Rav Shmuel, Chad Amar Melech B'Keach Hayav, Chad Amar Melech B'Tipish Hayav. One says that he was a very smart king, and one says he was a very stupid king. Manda Amar Melech B'Keach Hayav. One says he was a smart king. Why? Shapir Avid, the Kara Rechike Beresh, because first he invited the people that were in the outer provinces first to have them come in to do the party, and then the Bnei Masi, because the people that live close to him, he could always make them feel good. So he had to get a feel, though, for what things were going on, like outside the kingdom, so further away from him. So he went and he invited them first to come to the party, and then when they were done, then he was taking care of the people that lived in Shushan. The other one says that he was a fool for doing it. He first should have made sure that the people that were in the city with him still felt a strong allegiance to him. Why? Because if, let's say, the people that lived in the outer provinces wanted to rebel against him, Hani Havu Kami Ba'adeh, at least he would have the people of Shushan that would have stood up with him, and they would have helped him to defend in case the other provinces would have been rebelling. So it's a machlokas if he was considered to be a smart king or a foolish king for inviting the people that live far away first. So the Gemara says, Shalo Talmidav es Rav Shimon Yochai. Rav Shimon Yochai's Talmidim asked him the following: Why is it that the Jews who lived in the times of Achashverosh, why were they condemned? Why was it that they were found guilty that they deserved to be wiped out? So Amar Lahem, so Rav Shimon ben Yochai said to them, Imratem, you tell me, what's the reason that you think? So Amrullah, because they had hana, they had pleasure from the Suda of Achashverosh. So the Mefarshim say that what's the big deal if they that seems like a relatively minor thing that they went to a party that Achashverosh threw. Why is it that they deserve to be wiped out? So again, we said yesterday that the party that Achashverosh threw was because he thought that Hashem was no longer aligned with the Bnei Yisrael, and therefore it was okay to start using the Kalim of the Beis Hamikdash. So the Jews, by going to this party, it's almost like they were acknowledging and saying, yeah, we don't have a relationship with Hashem anymore. And if that's what they were saying, that they did deserve to be wiped out.
Did they know that?
What?
Did they know that?
That's why he was making the party?
Yeah, from what I was told.
Apparently they did know it, because if not, then first of all, according to that pshat, according to others, it's just saying that they went to the party and they shouldn't have gone to the party, and why is it they deserve to be wiped out? Because again, there was a lot of immorality that was going on at the party. It wasn't just that they had a cup of soda with them and a piece of cake. Apparently, they were doing a lot more when they were at the party. So the Gemara said. So Reb Shimon Yochai said to the Talmidim, "Im kain shebeshushan yehergu." If that's the case, that the reason why they were punished was because they went to the party, so the only people that lived in Shushan should have been punished. Why were the people that lived in the outer provinces who never went to the party, why should they have been punished as well? So Amrulo, Amarato, so they said, okay, Reb, you tell us, why that happened. So Amar Lahem, he said, because they bowed down to the idol, to the image of Nebuchadnezzar, so they deserve to die. So Amrulo, so the Talmidim said to Rabbi Shimon Yochai, if it's so that they really bow down to this image of Avodah Zarah of Nebuchadnezzar, does Hashem show favoritism? So why were they spared? Why is it that they weren't killed? So Amar Lahem, he said back to them, they only did it, they did it outwardly. In other words, they didn't want to get killed by Nebuchadnezzar. They wanted to make sure that it seemed like they were fitting in, so they bowed down to the image. But they never accepted it in their hearts that they were actually bowing down to Nebuchadnezzar. So therefore, they didn't deserve to die. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo asayman elafanim. So Hashem also he only did this outwardly, meaning Hashem never intended that the Bnei Yisrael were going to be killed, the Jews were going to be killed from this, but he wanted to put a scare into them, that he was not afraid in his heart, because Hashem wanted to make them to have a little bit of trepidation in their heart with what was going on.
Question: when the Gemara says, according to Rav Shimon, that his answer was that they bowed down to the Tzelem, was that the entire Jewish people, or was that just the people in Shushan?
No, the people in Shushan were because they went to the party. Correct. So they said, but the other people in the provinces bowed down to Nebuchadnezzar. So even though they didn't go to the party, that's the explanation he's giving. They didn't, right? Everyone bowed down to Nebuchadnezzar.
Gotcha.
Okay, next Gemara, again we're at the 2 dots now, right about in the middle of the Amud. It says, that the party was held in the courtyard, in the garden, in the palace. So where was it? Rav Shmuel, Chad Amar, Haroy l'chatzar, Harai lagina lagina, harai labisan labisan. That it depended what your standing was in the court. If you were very chashuv, you were inside by the palace. If you were lesser, you were in the garden. If you were lesser, then you were in the courtyard. V'chad amar hoshiva mechatzar ulach. That first they had the party that was going to be, it was only in the courtyard, but there wasn't enough room there. So begina and hechzikon. So they opened up the garden. That also filled up too quickly. Ad shechnitzan labisan v'hechzikasan, until they put him up into the palace. So then between the courtyard, the garden, and the palace, they were able to fit everybody that was coming in there. But Masnisa Tana, Hoshiva Mechatzar, that first he put them in the courtyard. Upasachlam Shnei Psachim, Echel Lagina, Echel Labisan. One was for the garden, one was for the palace, so that they could eat in the courtyard, and then they could kind of like stroll around if they wanted to see, because like not everyone was able to go into the palace all the time. So if you want to see what the gardens of the king looked like, which were very palatial, and you want to see what the palace looked like, which was very palatial, you're able to go in after you read, and you're able to take a stroll through the other places. Next, then the Megillah continues. Chur karpas uschela. So my chur, that there were very beautiful decorations that they had there. So my chur, what does chur mean? Rav Amar chari chari. That it's a type of cloth that's made by needlepoint with a lot of holes in it, and it's a very chashva piece of clothing. Ushmuel Amar mela levana hitziel lahem. That it's a white piece of wool that he spreads out before them. Also, was a very chashva piece of clothing that they had. Karpas, what does that mean? Amar Rav Yossi Bar Chanina, Karim Shel Pasim, that was cushions of fine wool that they were able to sit upon when they were eating. Al Galilei Chasef Amudei Sheish Mito Zav Chasef. It says that they sat on couches that were made of gold and silver. So Tani Rabbi Yehuda Omer Haroy Lekasef Lekasef, that someone who was worthy to sit on a silver couch sat on a silver couch. Haroy Lezav Lezav, and some that was fitting to sit on a gold couch, he sat on a gold couch. So the Gemara said, so Amar Lo Rav Nechami, he said, Im kain atamatu kina basuda. You're going to have people who are going to start getting jealous of each other in the meal, because each one's going to be saying, I deserve to be sitting on the gold couch. Or if he's sitting on a silver one, he sees someone, he may not say that I deserve to be on the gold, but he's going to say, look at that guy sitting on the gold. He for sure doesn't deserve to sit on the gold. So you're going to be causing this argument that's going on in the meal. So how can you say that? So he says, Ella amhei shel kasev raglan shel zav, that the couches were made of silver and the footstools were made of gold. So everyone was sitting on the same type of couches and chairs. Bahat v'sheish amravasi avanim shemischot tosal balein, that it's stones that are very, very precious, that the people they work very hard to try to get them. V'chein hu omer avnei nezer misnosisos al maso, that they surrounded him with trying very hard in order to obtain these stones. V'darvis ochares, what's that? Rav Amar Dari says again that's these very precious stones that they surrounded them with. Ushmuel Amar Evan Tova Yesh Bekarvi Hayam V'darishmo. There's a very fancy stone that was found by the shipping cities. Hoshiva be'emsas uda me'ir lahem betzarayim, and he put it in middle of the feast, and it was such a beautiful gem, it was such a beautiful dime that literally it lit up the entire room from how glorious it was. So that was how beautiful it was. The Ver of Yishmael Tana Shakara Drar L'chol Ba'alei Schara, that it means that he had there was a sales tax holiday. He didn't charge that anyone that wanted to buy anything during the Suda, during the time that the party was going on, they didn't have to pay sales tax. So it says that the drinks were served in gold goblets, and then the goblets were coming from it says that they were different one from the other one. So Gemara says, if you shouldn't say shonim, you should have said mishunim, which means that they were different. What mishonim means that it was like repeated. So what does that mean? That there was a voice that came down and said to them, Rishonim kalim nekelim, that Belshazzar, as we said last night, he was destroyed because he was using the kelim of the Beis Hamikdash. And you're repeating, you're making the same mistake that they did by using the kelim of the Beis Hamikdash again. So that's why it says shonim. V'yein malchus Rav, and it says that there was a lot of wine that was served. Amar Rav, that each person was served a wine that was even like if a person was 45 years old, he was served a wine that was 46 years old. So in other words, there was so much wine that was there that they made sure that it was that each person felt important because they were bringing out like a fine aged wine for them. Vashtia kadas. My kadas, what does it mean that it was done according to whatever the law was? Amr Rav Chana Mishum Rav Meir Kadash al Torah, that it was done just like we have in the Torah. That Ma Dash al Torah Achilam Uruba Mishtiyah, just like in the Torah we find that there's wine that comes with every carbon, but the food product of the wine of the carbon is much more than the wine. So too by the party that Achashverosh did, he also made sure that there was wine that was served, but the food was more, so that they wouldn't get too drunk and not be able to celebrate fully, fully properly. That they weren't forced. What does that mean? Amar Rabbi Lazar, so that each person that was at the party was given a wine from whatever his home country was, so that he would appreciate it. Where are we? Lasos Kirtzon Ish V'ish, to do like every man wanted. Amar Rabba Lasos Kirtzon Mordechai B'ham, to do like the Ratzon of who are the Ish V'ish. One is Haman and one is Mordechai. That we see that they're both referred to as Ish. Mordechai, the Ksiv Ish Yehudi, because we find that Mordechai was called Ish Yehudi, and Haman Ish Tsar V'oyev, and Haman was called an Ish Tsar V'oyev. He was also called an Ish. So he did it like whatever he wanted. Mordechai didn't want the Jews to be drinking, and Haman wanted the Jews to get very drunk. So therefore, to do it kadosh, like each and every man wanted, so like for Mordechai, no one was forced to drink, and at the same time, there was plenty of wine that was given in abundance, so that they would all be able to drink. And the Gemara says, Gam Vashti Amalka, Asam Mishal and Ashim Lebeis Malchus. Vashti also made a party for the women in her in her palace. Beis Nashim, so it should have said Beis Nashim, which says Beis. Why did it say Bias? The Gemara says, Amar Rabba Shneim L'Dvar Averin Iskanra, that both Achashverosh and Vashti both had the same intent when they made their parties, that they both wanted that there was going to be immorality that was going on at the party. Achashverosh wanted it by the men, and Vashti wanted it by the women. Hainu Damri Inchi, this is what men say, Iyu Bikari V'Itzei, we're turning to you, Beis, Amad Beis, that we say that the pumpkins and that they're the same thing, that they both come from the same family, that both of them had the same intent that they were going to be doing. Let's go a little bit more because it's just a long moment tomorrow. It says that it was on the seventh day that the king's heart was, that he was that meaning that he got drunk. So what does it mean? Are you going to say that until now he didn't get drunk? He was drinking for 7 days. So what was the hold up? So Amar Rabba Yom HaShvi Shabbos, that the seventh day of the party was Shabbos. And when the Jews are having Shabbos, what do? So we have it, and we're eating and drinking, and then we say Divrei Torah. We sit at our Shabbos table, and we have Zmiros. So that's the way that we celebrate Shabbos. That's the way that we have a party on Shabbos. But when non-Jews, when they're having their party of the Kochavim, they don't do it with that. They start again with immoral matters. And also by the party that Achashverosh made, it was also they were starting off with indecent things. Halalu Omrim and Medios knows that one nation was saying that the people from Madai were the most beautiful. Halalu Omrim Parsios knows. Another one saying no, the people from Paras were the most beautiful. So Achashverosh said, and listen to how he referred to his wife. He says, the vessel that I'm mishtamish with, the vessel that I use. He says, Eino elamidai v'lo parsai, it's not from Paras or Madai, ela kasti. And she's more beautiful than anyone else that's there. Do you want to see what she looks like? So Amrullah, they said, yeah, we want to see her. But we want to see her naked. Okay? So that's the way that they said. In order to prove that she's the most beautiful, we want her to come out, but we want her to, in order to see how beautiful she is, we want to see her naked. So again, the fact that Achashverosh went along with this is really amazing. So what happened? That the way that a person acts, that's the way that he's going to be judged. Harsha Mevia Benos Yisrael Umafshitan Arumos Osam Behamalach B'Shabbos. That Vashti used to bring the Jewish girls, and she would have them stripped naked, and then she would have them working on Shabbos. Again, so they wouldn't be there would be no concept of tznius, and that they'd be working on Shabbos. So therefore, what happened to her? Hainu Dichsiv Achar Dvar Me'ela Kishoch Chamas Hamelch Achashverosh Zachas Vashti V'Esasher Asas V'Esasher Nigzoleh Kishem She'Asasa Kach Nigzoleh. That the way that she decreed, that's the way that it was decreed upon her. That she wanted to degrade the Jewish women by making them work naked on Shabbos. So therefore, on Shabbos is when Achashverosh called her to degrade her in front of everyone else, in front of the rest of the kingdom, and that was done specifically on Shabbos. Okay, we will stop here and continue tomorrow night.